So I think record is started, right? It's a recording. Okay, fine. So object-oriented programming language, right? So what exactly the object-oriented programming language? Tell me. See, if any programming language which is following the following features like polymorphism, overriding, overloading, okay. So if any programming language is following these following features, overriding, polymorphism, so different kind of okay features we have it like overloading, overriding, polymorphism, okay, polymorphism, and inheritance, okay. So and data hiding. For example, if you want to hide the data, that we will do it actually, okay. Data encapsulation data encapsulation. So if any programming language which is following these features, then that particular programming language, we are calling it, say, object oriented programming language. Is it clear my point? Are you clear my point? If any programming language which is following the overloading, overriding, polymorphism, inheritance, data hiding, data encapsulation, that we are calling it, say, object oriented programming language, right? See, if you want to be follow this kind of features by any programming language, if you want to follow this kind of features by any programming language, make sure that that particular programming language, make sure that a programming language having the having a two models or two components. So if we have only those two components, then only the above features can be satisfied. So the first one is it's a class. Second one is object. So if and only if a programming language which is having the class and object, then only the above features can be satisfied. Otherwise, the above features cannot be satisfied. Okay. So first we'll try to go for understanding the components of the oops. Then after we'll talk about that particular features. Okay. Now let me go for understanding the class. What is class? What is class? See, class means it's a very simple thing, which is the logical entity. What it is? Which is the logical entity for an object. So for example, if we have any object, okay, to that particular object, which is a logical entity, and moreover, with help of this particular classes, we can creating the multiple objects. We can build or we can create multiple objects. If you want to creating the multiple objects, we can do with help of the classes only. But thing is that here the class is the physical, it's not a physical entity, it's a logical entity. So there we should write the logic only. We cannot you're not giving any kind of memory and other stuff. Okay, it's a no memory. So if you want to be creating the class which is it is not occupying the memory, okay, so that it's a free space, lightweight. Okay, so no memory we require to creating the classes. And there which is having a lot of things same like a program. So simply we can say that it's a collection of attributes. It's a collection of attributes. Here the attributes are, it may be methods, it may be variables and other stuff, okay, or data elements. So when we are collecting some methods and variables in one particular class, that we are calling it's a logical entity. So even usually if you're creating the variable, then what is mean that we are giving some memory, right? but you want to create the variable, I don't want to give the memory, then you have to give the class initially. If and only if object is created with help of the class, then only the memory can be allocated to this particular variables. Clear? Simply a class is nothing but just a logical entity. It is having some attributes. Here the attributes are methods. Method means again functions. Okay, and with help of this particular classes we can build the multiple objects actually. So the syntax of creating of class is, the syntax of building the class is, the class keyword and followed by the class name. So every class, it could be start with the capital letter so that it could be easy to understand the what it is. Okay, so it is same like a function definition only, guys. It is same like a function definition. So here, which we have to write the some logic. So I already told you, right? It is a consisting of or it's a collection of attributes, right? Okay, it's a collection of attributes, right? Here the attributes are the function definitions. So the particular function definitions, we are calling it some methods. Okay, we are calling it say methods. I am method inside of the class. I am method. So method means it's a very simple thing. It's a function only, but the function we are writing inside of the class. And if you want to creating the variables, so you can create the variables and we can assign the data. So this is the a variable or attribute. Okay, it's a public variable or a class variable. It's a class variable, which means you created the variable inside of the class, so you can able to access only within that particular class only. Okay, clear? Clear or not? So this is the way you can able to write the, you can write the syntax or we can write the classes. Syntax of the class. So here a very basic example I am writing here, and the class means it's a collection of variables or else methods. Methods means again it's a functions only. So if you want to creating the method something like this, if you want to create the 1000 functions, you can. For example, this is method 1, this is method 2, and this is the way you can creating the ended number of methods in a single class. That's not a big deal. Okay, even we can creating the variables or the class variable 1. So this is the way you can able to creating the multiple class variables also, multiple class variables also. Clear? Clear or not? So but when you are creating this one, when you are creating this particular class, it won't be executed actually. So and it's something like function only. Okay, but so with help of this one, we can give the some kind of properties. We can set some properties. Okay, you can give you some kind of design, right? So with help of this particular class, we can create the objects. So that we'll try to go for understanding the object. Object means physical entity. For physical entity means it is having the some memory location. Physical entity for class. So whatever the class we have it, for that particular one, you have to go for creating the physical entity. How we can create the physical entity? So the class name, it's a something like function call, and this particular function call we can assigning to any one of the variable. That variable is its object. Okay, the variable name is object. So if the class name is also attribute, it's a class name also identifier, and objects also identifier. But here the class name will be used for to creating the class, and here the object name will be used for this particular class. Whatever the properties we have it, that properties we can giving or we are assigning to this particular object. Okay, so this is the way you can creating the object for that one. So simply we can say that your object is obj is object for okay class, for class name. So if you want to print what exactly the object, so simply we can give you obj. So object is created. See, careful observe here. So this is the class you created previously, and this is my logical entity. The logic is which is having the two methods. When we want to execute this particular logic, we can do that. Okay, so this is my another logic, that is also it's my method too. So with help of this particular class, you creating the one particular variable that we are calling it's a object. So object obj is object for the class name, okay, and you're printing the obj. Obj is what? It's underscore underscore main dot. So main in the sense it's your program. Okay, it's a program name. So default inside of the Python program, the name of the file is it's underscore underscore main only. Okay, and inside of the main program, we have a class. The class name is so what name you mention here, that is the thing we call it as the class name. Okay, and this is object, right? You're not giving this is object, so object, so this is the obj for this particular class object within this particular memory location. See, I already told you, right? So object means what? It's a allocating the some memory location to this particular class with some referencing name of the object, right? So which memory location? This is the memory location. Within this particular memory location, we are uh, we are setting on particular object, so that my object name is obj, and this is object which related to a class name. Clear? Can you please note this example, class and object? As of now, I just created the class and I just created the object, that's it. Classes can be created by the class name, class keyword, and object can be created by the classes. And what classes you created, with help of that particular classes we can create the object, but class can be created with help of the class keyword only. Done. Guys, is it done or not?
Yes, it's done. And I want to tell you something. The files
Yeah,
in the canvas we cannot able to open.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will check that one. Okay,
Okay.
so let me finish it this one. Okay, so now you created the class and I want to use these resources. That means I want to use this var1, I want to use this var2, right? So you already have a data is 123 and 125, and already I told you, so with help of the same class we can creating the multiple objects, right? So as of now I just created only object 1 only. I want to create the object 2 also. So if you want to creating the object 2, simply you can assigning the same class to another class, another object. So here object 2 is my the obj2 is my another object for the class. Okay, so this is the way you may creating the 100 number of objects with the same class. With help of the same class we can creating the, with help of the same class we can able to go for creating the multiple objects. So careful observe here, sorry, so careful observe here. So this are different memory locations. Careful observe, you created the same class. So you created the same class. With help of the same class we created the three different objects. This is object 1, and this is object 2, and this is object 3. So object 1 will be created with this particular memory location. Object 2 was created in another memory location. Object 3 is created in another memory location. But one thing you should understand, whatever the class information or whatever the class functionalities we have it, that all same things will be available in this particular memory location, and in this particular memory location, and in this particular memory location. Try to understand here, whatever the class we have it, whatever the class we have it. So this is my class name, right? This is having the two variables and two methods. These two variables and two methods will be allocated in different memory location with object 1, object 2, and object 3. Object 1 will be used to access the var1, var2, and method1 and method2. Object2 also can be available access the permission to access and modify the data as well. Okay, but in different memory location which was created. Let me try a small example. You created the you created the two objects instead of the three objects. Let me consider you created the two objects. Okay, and now my intention is I want to access the var1. So if you want to access the var1 directly, it is not possible. So object1 and var1 only will help you. So I want to print the object1 var1. Okay, I want to print this particular data. If you want to print this particular data, and object dot and attribute name you should provide you. And meanwhile, if you want to print the var2 also, so if you want to print the var2 also, okay, simply what you should do here, what we should do. So object1 dot var2, same things we can do for the object2 also. But here, while creating of the class only, you already set the data, right? So that's the reason here the var1 and var2, sorry, object1 of var1 and object2 of var1, and object1 of var2 and object2 of var2 will be giving the same information. Okay, but these are the different in this particular memory location. You have this particular variable, and this is the variable too, and this is also having its own memory location, but it is referencing to this from this particular memory location only. Okay, now my intention is I want to change the data. And then I want to print it. So I want to change the object1 of var1. Is it affected for the var2? For example, 500. Is it affected for the var2? Is it affected for the var2? Tell me, guys. Okay, so you are modifying the object1 of var1 and object1 of var2 instead of the 123 and 125 and 500 and 600 I given. Now I want to print after modification object1 information and object2 information. So here object1 information, and I want to print the object2 of var1 and var2. So here what happens, we'll see. So only object1 information has modified. Object2 information is not modified. Careful observe here. See, this is the var1 and var2 will be there inside of the classes, inside of this particular classes only. But with help of this particular class, you creating the multiple objects. So which means two different memory location. You created the two objects. So one object can have able to access the all the properties of the class, and the same thing object2 also can have the properties of the class. Okay. So in this particular memory location, var1 and var2 can be updated. Once if you're updating the reflection, it won't be applicable for the object2, so that it's not at all modifying. Both are different memory locations, so that it's not modified. Clear? Clear or not? So this is the way you can able to access the variables from the objects, or we can able to access the variables and we can able to modify the variables from the class, okay, with help of the object. Same thing we will do with help of the class of same thing we will do for the method. So here my method is, I want to call the method 1, I want to call the method 2 instead of the attributes. I just want to be method 1, I want to be call it. So guys, the class will be expiring in 10 minutes. So method 1, and so meanwhile we can able to call the object 1 of method 2. So here method 2 and method 1 you already created inside of the class, right? So it can be printing I am method 1 and I am method 2, but unfortunately it will be giving an error because of the reason is, so we have to follow the, okay, so type error. So method 1 takes 0 Pojina, but one was given. Actually, you're not giving anything, right? But here it is showing me like one was given, which means, which means while you creating the methods, while you creating the methods inside of the class, while you're creating the methods inside of the class, make sure that at least one argument be required, and that could be nothing. It will be holding only object one information only, so that usually we can representing with a self. At least one argument we have to represent in a methods. So if you want to print the method one from I want to print the self. So from I want to print the self. What could be the information is there in a self that I want to be printed? Okay. So here I want to print the object one for the class, right? So this kind of information also I want to print. Is it object one and object self is same? Object two and self is same. That we will do now. Okay, that we will do now. Okay, now we can execute. If I'm executing, careful observe here, you creating the object one with help of the ninth one. Okay, after that one, 10th one was executed. So this is my 10th line output, and you call the method one. When you call the method one, so this is the method only it can be executed. Previously we got an error because of one position argument we should provide extra, and what it will be holding, it will be holding this particular object one, so that this memory location and this memory location, and if you're calling the method 2 and inside of one you are printing the self, and that particular memory location are same. Okay, and meanwhile you creating the object 2 and it was having another memory location, and you calling the method 1 and method 2 from this, but oh shit, so here you have to modify as the method 1 and method 2. Yes, now we can do. See, you are calling the method 1 and method 2 from the object 1, so that object 1 memory location only self is holding. When you're calling the method 1 and method 2 from the object 2 after you creating the object 2 with the same class, then so which is holding the self will be holding the memory location of the object 2. So whatever the object dot is there, or prefix is there, that it will be carry as an argument in methods. Okay, can you please note this example? So this is the way you can able to go for creating the variables, and you can creating the methods, and we can access that variables and methods with help of the object information. And when you're creating the methods, make sure that at least one argument we require, that we can consider as the self here. Can you please note this example? Okay, guys, that's for today's class. We'll continue the oops by tomorrow at the same time. Okay, a lot of information is there in object oriented programming language. As of now, we just understood the what is class and what is object and what is method and what is class variables and how we can use it and how we can defining the methods inside of the class and how we can access that basic information we understood. Clear? Take care, guys. Bye. We'll catch up tomorrow with this SQL as well as Python.
Are we using the same link?
Yeah, same link, and one could
Okay.
be 8:30 a.m. CST.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so 1 hour before. I mean,
Oh,
same timings, but 1 hour before. Two classes.
okay.
One is SQL, one is Python. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
fine.